Hi-ho Silver, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to... Barry! Alright. Dragon, it is the Season 3 Spoilercast. We're a little bit delayed on this, but I honestly don't know how many people subscribe to the channel are into Barry, but Dragon, gosh darn it, this season is so impressive that we need to catalog our thoughts. We need to get our thoughts down on internet writing, gosh darn it. So Dragon, I gotta tell you, man, with Barry, the one thing that was going through my head throughout all of season 3, just to kick it off, is he was kind of like neck and neck with Better Call Saul as far as like, all right, like what is going to have the better season this year as far as like at least a part 1 goes. Of course, like with Better Call Saul, there's a part 2 in play, so that, you know, that's kind of like an asterisk to the equation. But Dragon, it was like kind of like a neck and neck, and I was like, okay, like if Better Call Saul really nails this whole Howard thing, then that'll pull ahead. And obviously it did. You know, but Dragon, it was a horse race, and Barry, like, it's in the conversation now as, like, one of the best shows on TV. And I think this season gave it a lot more attention, and, of course, we got a lot more, this season very much is kind of like, we are shedding all of the comedy roots, and, by the end of the finale, we are really in dark territory here. So, Dragon, what are your thoughts on Barry? Sorry, go ahead.
So again, Barry is just is truly impressing, and it is very much on the level of a Better Call Saul. It's in its infancy, mind you, so it's kind of like a next generation. You know, as one kind of loop closes, the other one opens. You know, it's
indeed.
Down. And again, Barry seems to be building towards. Again, it seems like Barry is smart enough to show that they're not going to go on forever, and that they do indeed kind of have a plan in mind. At the very least, they have it planned up to 4 seasons, as in season 4. Mm-hmm. Could possibly be
season 4, by all intents and purposes, has pretty much been like outlined and drafted already.
Yeah, as I'm saying, it was basically written with 3 and 4 in mind, and just they're waiting to get the green light on 4, which they have. So so far, everything's working out. I imagine they probably end at 5, but who knows? It could be 4. So I mean
season 3 feels like it could have been a finale, as we'll get into. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ended at 4. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. So Barry, just absolutely, just I think right now it's the apple of HBO's eye. That I think people are talking about it, but still a few more people could be talking about it. You know, it is quite great. I think it's a testament to the talent of Bill Hader, the underrated talent of Bill Hader, in which the man is a man of many hats. Joshua Thomas on kind of a bigger venue, one could say, on the big 3 letters that aren't JGI. But seriously, I mean, Bill Hader, I mean, the word is he kind of went to Hollywood to be a director, and ultimately kind of ended up, acting and writing, and just, SNL just kind of like redirected him. And I think now this show is really just putting everything he kind of maybe hoped and dreamed to do, like a little bit of everything: the drama and the comedy and the writing, the directing, and the acting. It's like it's all coming out Millhouse for good old Bill Hader. And I think this season really gets to the root of what the show's been building to. With it's basically, a guy making the unsafe choice, a guy trying to kind of bifurcate himself and be able to have his cake and eat it too, be able to be an actor, be something for himself, but also, like he's living with a lot of darkness. And the thing in the show that's always fascinating me, this season did so beautifully and wonderfully, is we have a character with the finest plot armor you've ever seen, in that this guy is... he's just insulated. Like there's always there's a Deus Ex Machina built into the plot, but it doesn't get old. It's not a problem because it's just built into the DNA of like, okay, so because you're so engrossed with the character, you're rooting for him, and you probably shouldn't be, but you are, and you think, oh god, this is going to be it for Barry, but no, he's kind of a Deus Ex Machina. Usually pulls him out of the fire, and it's very aware that it's kind of in like the weaving of the narrative this season, that, oh god, Barry could be Barry's really getting away with a lot. Maybe we should this season's about consequence, and we should address that. And they did. It was wonderful.
Oh yeah. Okay, and of course, Bill Hader, like you said, he's got a real hand in the director's chair this time around. I mean, he's directed before, but this is seasons 3 and 4 are pretty much his baby at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. He's been progressively directing more each season. Like this season is pretty much him and the co-creator Alec Berg, who was on Seinfeld as well. So that's the thing. So that's so yeah. I imagine next season is going to be. I don't know if this is officially announced or anything, but I think next season might be all Bill Hader directed. This season's like all but 2 episodes are Bill Hader director. Maybe not. I forget if Alec Berg did 4 episodes or 2 episodes, but still quite a lot.
Yep. All right. So you ready to just jump right into the episodes?
Yeah, so folks, we're just going to kind of break down the highlights because, hopefully you've seen these episodes too, but, because it's Spoilercast after all, and we're just going to kind of like share kind of our thoughts on the big highlights of the episodes because they are rather dense and they do stand on their own rather well.
Indeed.
Okay.
All right, episode 1, Forgiving Jeff. And Dragon, right off the bat, I have one nitpick with the season just as a whole. What's up with the lowercase letters in the titles? I refuse to conform to that.
I didn't notice.
Did you really not notice?
Well, what's the deal? Like, what are you saying? Like, they're like...
I'm saying, like, literally, like, whenever you see the season 4 episodes written out, like, every word is starts with a lowercase letter.
Huh. Well, maybe it's probably intentional.
I'm sure it's intentional. It just bothers my grammar OCD, so I'm not going to conform to it out of sheer OCD. I'm sorry.
The dumbest complaint you've ever had. We're just going to move on.
All right, so Forgiving Jeff, first of all, awesome cold open to the season that really acts as kind of like a thesis statement for the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Barry has that Better Call Saul effect with me, which I'm really happy about, where, like Better Call Saul, maybe not to the same degree as Better Call Saul, but like a very slim rung below it, where it's like I'm like memorizing every frame of the scene. I'm just like, I'm there, I'm in it, man. I'm like, oh god, like there's the black and white scene of the season, and then we're gonna go in from there, and like, oh god, look, I'm reveling in the universe. And here with Barry, it's like, oh god, how are we gonna start the season? So I love the full circle structure. I love that Barry, he's not doing well after Fugues blew up his status quo at the end of season 2 with Mr. Kusanov, and obviously literally killing a whole bunch of people at the monastery trying to get to Fugues. So Jeff is essentially an allegory for all the mentors in Barry's life. He's the allegory for Fugues. And honestly, Jeff is kind of the representation of Barry's guilt for all the things that he's done in conjunction with Fugues, which also bleeds into what he has done to Mr. Kusanov.
Yeah.
So I loved all that. That was great. How it wraps around to the end of the episode with the whole forgiveness idea and how that very much, get in the trunk, that whole thing.
And right off the bat, it's like Bill Hader's performance. It's like you can tell, like, Barry has always been an unhinged character, but in this season, Barry just completely jumped off the railroad track, completely off of the track, off the rails, pure spiral into insanity.
Yeah, he's got like the depression beer going on this whole season.
Oh my god, yeah, that's so effective visually.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So something we should talk about here. Oh, let's talk about our Chechnyans this season. Let's talk about their new base.
God,
it's delightful. I love their new base. Did you notice what it's called?
No, I didn't.
It's hilarious. It's just called Plants with an exclamation point.
Oh my god, I didn't. How did I not notice that?
It's so darn funny. So the idea is I keep wanting to say, the Chechnyans this season. Their drug operation, basically they're selling heroin.
Oh my god.
They're smuggling it in the bottom of potted plants.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I just didn't notice the plants thing.
That's the thing. It just says like on a little white banner with like black text, plants.
Plants. Oh god.
So the idea is the leader of the basically the overseas operations of the Chechens, played by a Breaking Bad alumni, technically, J.B. Black. He's Gus Fring's doctor on Breaking Bad. He plays the overseas kind of head of the Chechens. So it's he and Hank running the operation. Hank calling all the shots here because he like, oh, you killed her with the bullet through the book and everything. That's exactly what we wanted. You're head in charge now. So basically, they've stashed Fugues away, and now they're making the fall guy, and they're calling him the Raven.
Oh God. Dragon, with Hank this season, the kind of like the catch-all sort of thesis statement I have for his character is he is essentially like he has gone from like the wild card of the series to genuinely the most heartfelt and well put together and stable human being in the series.
Which is wonderfully insane. I
love it. I love it so much.
But I seriously love that you actually feel for Hank when Hank.
Oh, you absolutely do, man. You totally do.
And again, I like that we've been building it ever since the first season, where you have the end of the first season where, oh, my buddies are dead. And then it kind of goes from there. And then it's like, he really sticks it to Barry. He's like, no, who's the effing idiot now? That whole thing. It just kind of, it's kind of escalated there. And now we have a scene here where Hank is really putting things in perspective for Barry. Like, you killed all my guys, man. And he's basically pointing, and he drives home the big thing that ties into the episode, but the whole season at whole here, that forgiveness, essentially, forgiveness has to be earned.
Yeah, because basically Barry throughout this whole season is just like, it is just a deep examination of like, Dragon, this character stuff, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Dexter, it takes the whole sociopath thing and just like puts it under such a microscope in a way that Dexter like only got to the surface of.
Well, that's the thing. Again, I think the big difference is that Dexter didn't have to. It doesn't have the runtime or the serials. Well, not the serialization. The what's the word I'm looking for? Not formula, but I guess formula.
Procedural.
That's it. Thank you. Yes, procedural. Kind of doesn't have the procedural thing working against it. Okay, well, we have to do certain things like kind of with the procedural element of the season as well. Okay, we have our main bad guy we're going after this season, and we have to give our other characters stuff to do, which basically we have to pad out the other half hour, which we don't have to worry about here.
And my argument for that has always been like, I point you to one Mr. Gus Fring, Dragon. Could you imagine Gus Fring trying to cram all of Gus Fring into one season? It's fucking crazy.
Exactly.
All right, anyways.
And you can maybe do that with like two characters, but that's still over like the course of 2 seasons. Putting them in one season is insane.
Right.
All right, so let's see. Anyway, so we anyway, point being, yeah, so Hank's making a lot of sense, and he's kind of putting things. The big thing we should talk about with Barry, though, the reason Barry was visiting Hank is that Barry's big problem this season is that with the status quo kind of in upheaval, he's lost his mentors. Mr. Kusanow's not doing so well, and Barry is seeking purpose. And this puts something in context for me with the series as a whole. Kind of puts something in perspective for me as well, where I'm looking back on things and I'm realizing this is one of the most relatable aspects to the Barry character. And I think why he works so well is that we're all seeking purpose. We're all seeking fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That Barry, think about it. He was looking for purpose, went to the military, and then, of course, after that went belly up, he went to Fuchs. And when that was kind of like losing its luster, he went to Mr. Kusanow. And when he loses all those things, he's desperate for purpose to the point where he's basically a Craigslist killer, essentially. So let's see. So speaking of Mr. Kusanow, we should talk about Genie Boy.
Yeah. Okay. So I got to admit, Dragon, part of me is just like the tiniest bit mixed on the Gene storyline overall.
Really?
If only because I love all the individual ingredients of it. Like, I love him and Barry interacting, and Barry just basically being his waking nightmare, and Barry just kind of being oblivious to how much he's just terrifying the man.
Yeah.
I love all that. And then I love where it ends up with him getting, with the acting class coming back together and, the show and everything. And I think that's going to have some real potential where with season 4, we're going to get a little bit of the acting class kind of like, the comeback tour, if you will. Dragon, I think the middle part of the season for me kind of dragged, getting from point A to point B. Like him going to the party and then the, basically like being on his own path to make amends. Like it's good stuff as far as the character development goes. It's just, I would say it just feels like Gene basically takes like a side path towards like his own stuff, and Barry goes on his own. Like I feel like he is like probably like the one example this season I can point to where having the character split up and outside of the acting class doesn't necessarily pay off. I don't know. like I said, I like all the individual components to him. I just think that there's some things along the way that just don't tie together too well.
I disagree with that for the majority of that, which, I mean, I'll admit, I think the big risk they took this season, I think it worked fine off the fact, like, again, with the destruction of status quo, the acting class is not in this season, at least not in the traditional sense. So, I mean, they're around, but they're just not, like in a class.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, but honestly, I like Gene's stuff because I really like how it does parallel what Barry's going through, and does work really well in conjunction with, the whole forgiveness arc with Barry. So, by that logic, I think it does really play well, in that it's still tying to the same theme and is raising the question of, like, can forgiveness happen? Like, because again, things are actually working out for Gene. He is on a healing path, and he's paralleling what Barry idealistically has been trying to do with the acting class. So I thought all that tied together nicely. But,
All right.
Anyway, so.
But anyways, yeah, back to the meat and potatoes. And Drake, I guess my only issue is that I feel like the tension with him and Barry was so delicious, and it kind of wrapped up sooner than I thought it would.
But then it came back in a really big way.
Oh, it did, for sure. I just, like I said, that middle part just kind of dragged its feet for his story a little. Anyways, the meat and potatoes, though, Dragon, what a meal it is. Oh my god, like, I love this new dynamic, because it's like, because Barry and Gene, it used to be just like such a heartwarming, like Barry was kind of like the apple of Gene's eye, he was like he was kind of becoming the actor that Gene always wishes he could be in some ways. And then this season, oh my god, it's just like Henry Winkler just absolutely owns the fear. You know what I mean?
I mean, Henry Winkler, we'll get to in the second episode. Henry Winkler has his finest moment in the season, next episode. But but just in this one, I love it. So Gene tries to kill Barry with Rip Torn's gun that was given to him as a gift. Which, by the way, fun fact, that gun, if you remember, going back to the early seasons of Barry, that gun ruined his career because he brought it to a Full House audition. He essentially got blackballed in the industry because that's the crazy guy who brought a gun to a Full House audition. So yeah, I like they have this really great acting. Henry Winkler was behind the desk and everything, and just kind of put in perspective. And he, like, who was that? The singer, named after the singer. Who was that man? Goulet, Ken Goulet.
Mm-hmm.
So he's laying all that out, and again, it seems like Barry has the realization. Of course, Coos now being completely incompetent with the gun falls apart in his hand and everything. And I love the edit here. I was like on the edge of my seat, like, oh god, I'm sorry, Mr. Coos. Now I'm like, oh god, he's gonna kill Henry Winkler. We can't kill Henry Winkler. That's a war crime. So, regardless, so we have him like we get a lot of mileage out of that hill, by the way. On the
we totally do. Absolutely.
It's like the sad bench.
It's in the poster.
It's like the sad bench in Wolverine and the X-Men, the bench where everyone goes to be sad and contemplate. Like, we keep going there. It was like the desert in the Albuquerque verse. That's the better comparison. But yeah, it's like this big tense moment. I love the running device of Barry kind of hallucinating death of his loved ones, and basically his guilt manifesting itself, like, bullet wound, like you're thinking, oh god, he shot him for a moment. And like Gene Kusnell, like, kind of this great moment of like, then effing earn it, which again puts it really wonderfully in perspective. And that's when just the genius of this season really hit me. Like, it's such an ingenious premise of, oh my god, I know exactly what they're going to do. Barry is so desperate to restore the season 1, mainly the season 2 status quo before Fuchs blew it up, because that's when he's like, that boy's like a son to me. It's like, that's when he was right. He wants to restore it back to that, and he's going to do it by finding him work. So he just says the delightful, get in the trunk. Now, just the transition here, because we didn't bring it up, I guess, because it's going to get brought many other times during the season. The Sally, what's going on with Sally, Tiki?
Well, I think we can transition into episode 2 because like we have the big Sally scene. So
yeah, we do. You're right. Okay, so let's go. Episode 2, Limonada. That sounds refreshing.
All right, so yeah, Dragon. I honestly think it's the scene of the season.
It
comes really early on, but Jesus Christ, it's almost like a crawl space level moment for me.
Here's the thing, I think it's at war with the end of this episode for the scene of the season. I don't know, it might be, but it's great.
I'm just saying, as far as like this scene, like I really feel like this scene, it very much kind of like really brought Barry into full on villain territory, I think.
Well, you know what's interesting for me? I have a bit of a different read on that scene, to a degree. A read, Sally Reed. Oh, but seriously, so Barry he snaps his just to wind back a little bit here. So Sally's got this show
Oh,
Joplin, which is based on her the trauma, her one woman show, which basically took her abusive relationship with her ex husband Sam, and essentially commercialized it,
oh
which
God.
is a really fun satire on the industry. Like, yeah, we're taking abuse and we're making shows about it, but not like really like legit shows we're really cashing in on. So yeah, look how we make fun of all the shows and the projects really cleverly in this show, like swim instructors and everything. Um, let's see. Anyway, so point being, so Sally here, basically Barry he's deluded, and we have this hilarious opener, by the way, where like Gene Cousineau's in the trunk and he's bringing him fast food. He says, "Well, can I at least eat it before we go?" It's like, "Nope, we gotta go." Anyway, so Barry snaps at Sally. He's freaking out because he's eager for like redemption, which connects to Gene Cousineau, and her saying no one. And here's the thing, she absolutely could have put him on the show if she really wanted to, and that's
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think she.
I read the scene differently.
Well, here's my real in the scene, and you've kind of spoke. I'm surprised because you've kind of spoken this in the other seasons, and that's the thing with Sally. It's kind of interesting is that I think Sally's had this for a long time coming, and
I'm sorry, don't get me wrong. I don't think Sally is likable in this season at all. I think this is like definitely Sally at her most unlikable. But that being said, I feel like this season is very much like a fall from grace arc for her. So we kind of have to drag her through the mud. It's kind of like, to get to the point where she ultimately ends up, which is probably the most compelling thing that's ever happened to her character, I think. Go ahead.
That's the thing. So I mean, like, I think it's been building on this for a while. And this season, actually, again, we gave her the fall from grace to really call her out on the character flaws that have been there since the beginning. So it's really nice that we didn't just like have them there for the sake of like, well, we just kind of wrote her that way. It's like, no, we actually have a plan with this. Like, we're actually saying something with her, and we were building to this point with her. Is that yeah, people are self-absorbed in Hollywood. Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe we should take them down a peg. And that's like so. Sally, she kind of gets traumatized here by Barry, which you feel bad about. But by the same token, it's like yeah, she absolutely could have put Gene on the show. I mean, she shouldn't be bullied into it, mind you, like Barry is kind of doing here. But by the same token,
I really think this is a point of no return for Barry. I think it's really funny how differently we're reading this.
Yeah, but I love how it played though. I love the psychology of abuse that is of the abuse victim that is at play here. That she herself is kind of oblivious to, where it's like, hey, I've been, she takes this moment, she's kind of tries to save face, and she just kind of goes back into kind of the old familiar attitudes, the old familiar kind of like stepping stones here, where it's like, hey, I'm going to like later on, it's like I'm going to kowtow to Barry. I'm going to get him a new controller. I'm going to make sure he's all happy and everything. And think about it, this whole season, like Sally is in the relationship with him mainly because he's still kind of treating her like the way he used to. Like, hey, basically if you look at this season, she breaks up with him after she's at the top of her career. And it's like until like, I need the adulation, I need the relationship where the guy still treats me like a star. And of course, when that goes away and when she doesn't need him anymore, then she realizes I might be in somewhat of he might be on the borderline of abusive because he really is just having a bad day. It seems it's a really bad day, mind you. Don't get me wrong, but still, it's like I don't know because
this is like a fucking Rorschach test, dude. This is fascinating.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I read it. I think again, it was just. I mean, that's the thing. It's the fact that this has been building, and she has been very self-absorbed since the beginning, and it's like, and she's treated other people like this, and she's always kind of like played the angles, and it's like, Barry's saying, no, you absolutely can do this. You are in a position to help, and again, he's doing about it the wrong way, but he's not entirely wrong. It's not entirely undeserved, but in this way, it's too much. Yes,
I'm just saying, given her history and given the trauma.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we could literally do a whole podcast just on that scene, but we got to move on.
Absolutely, we could. What's interesting about it, I felt too. So let's see. Right, and by the way, he is kind of like frustrated with the relationship at this point, anyways. That's kind of a thing to note as well. Like they are both like he's kind of like they're not exactly head over heels for each other when the show starts. Just kind of go through the motions. Like bring me flowers, but don't go to lunch with me. All right, so Limonada. I love the little girl selling the lemonade outside Cristobal Fuentes' house, and I love how that comes back and it's just kind of there this season.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So speaking of which, we have a the threat to status quo runner continues here, where Hank and Cristobal, they're kind of Romeo and Julieting it here. They're having like a relationship on the down low between the Bolivians and the Chechnyans. And Cristobal's family, they do not know that he is that he is in a relationship with a man. So they're they want him to come home. So there's kind of a threat here, and they want to like wipe out the Chechnyans because we don't need to be in business with them anymore. So and what does Hank do? What does Cristobal do to save Hank and his buddies?
God, I'm sorry, Jay, you're putting me on the spot. It's been a
Well,
while.
it's really funny. It's the bus tour where so like,
Oh,
drive
right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
that whole thing. Anyway,
Oh
so
my
let's see.
God.
So
Dragon, I love how the whole Chechnya plot is basically like everything we love about the whole Nick Ford pleasantries philosophy, just rolled up into just like it's like Nick Ford pleasantries on steroids.
I mean, let's face it. Nick Ford is like the Jedi to the Padawan that is Hank. No Hank. No ho Hank. Because he
People who
loves.
haven't watched our Bates Motel podcast are going to be so confused. Like,
Well, that's the thing. Is Hank is like the ultimate student of employing pleasantry. The man he's like the nicest version of Darth Vader ever.
Oh God. Anyways, Nick Ford is the main villain of Bates Motel season 3. For anyone who's confused. All right. Anyways,
season 2. Bob Paris.
Season 2. My bad.
Yeah, Bob Paris is the bad guy of season 3.
Yes. All right.
Anyway, so Barry lands. He visits Allison Jones, and I love this. We call back the swim instructors thing, and we learned that he's. We learned that Josh Gad and Adam Devine they got the roles, and just I love how unsatisfied she is with the fact that they just love Barry so much. Like we tried calling you and everything. It wasn't just an instant.
It's too short, guys. You can't. That's never gonna work.
Just great. Josh Gad, that man has no business swimming. Look at him. Come on.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so Barry again in trying to get Gene Cousineau some work, he ends up getting a part himself. And again, this is what I'm saying. It's kind of there's a statement on the show with everyone where, especially this season, to a degree of everyone fails upward in Hollywood. To a degree. And Barry yet again, it's like he just goes in like again, the man is born under a lucky star, which has been part of the character since the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just him just getting Gene to read lines with him under the circumstances.
Under duress and everything. And then we have, oh boy, the big runner of I love you, Mr. Cousineau.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
So there's a wonderful flag plant. I love the genuine uncomfortableness, but still there's a sincerity in that scene from Barry and just Gene's like, this is an odd situation to employ that in.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. So point being, we eventually Barry he does his audition and he makes the impassioned plea for what Gene Cousineau did for him as a Marine, which leads to a lot of the variety piece and everything this season, and he ends up getting him apart. Then Gene has escaped and he's being chased. But what did you think about the too many dogs joke?
Yeah. God, it was good.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so point being, he gets Barry's chasing him down, gets into a car accident. Then we have our chilling ending, which I think might be the best scene of the season, where Barry again, he's just putting it all in Front Street there, where again it's like the two sides of himself just kind of colliding like that car accident, where it's like
Barry basically turns into Gus Fring.
Yeah, exactly. But again, a little less like, I would even kill your infant daughter. A little nicer version of that. It's like, hey, listen, I got you a role. You're going to enjoy everything that comes with it, or else this one, go away.
Right.
But I'm serious. Like, Bill Hader, the way he says, as a man so desperate to cling on to everything, I love you, Mr. Cousineau. As in, I'm doing all this so I don't have to kill you. Please appreciate this. And just like, do you love me? And it's just so sad and pathetic. And then there's like, I love you, Barry. And that's what I love Winkler's delivery there. It's so great.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then just the repetition, just like focusing on Winkler's face, like, oh God, what trouble am I in right now? That brings us to episode number 3.
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, so
So Gene and Boy shaken by the situation at hand, and we see that they're very impressed by the whole helping the Marine story, and they basically give him a line. They give him a line, Tiki. And then I just love how kind of in control Barry is of the situation here. But again, it's like we treat Kusna like a child in this scene. With the whole, what do you say, Mister?
Oh God, yeah. It's so demeaning.
But again, it's like Gene does need to be humbled, and I think it works out well for him this season when he does get humbled. That's the
Well,
weird
it does.
dichotomy.
It does. Like Gene does kind of get put through the ringer, but by the end of the season, I feel like he's probably like the big winner of the season as far as like where the characters have progressed. So
That's the fascinating thing about the season to me, where again there is a middle ground, there is a gray here, there is this is for the better ultimately for Gene.
you haven't finished Succession season 2, have you?
No, not yet.
All right. There's an analogy I could make, but I don't want to ruin it. So all right. Anyway.
Point being, humbled for the better. So again, so let's see. So he's kind of forced to be grateful to Barry for like kind of the sweet roots of their relationship, of just them meeting in the first place and everything. So it's just kind of like a reminder thrown to his face. Hey, remember that guy you led into your acting class? He's not holding anything over you right now, is he? Is he? Which is great. And of course, we really got. Here's what we got to bring up though. So Fuchs, man, what's going on with Fuchs?
Oh yeah. I mean, Fuchs, his whole storyline. He's basically the devil dragon. Like he's just basically like making Barry account for every one of his sins by just going around and poisoning the well. It's basically like his the end of season 2 on steroids with him.
Yeah. I mean, with Fuchs, it's really this thing of, again, I love how we use him this episode in conjunction with the Kusanov thing, where it's like he gets on that phone call with Barry after Hank basically calls him, asking him to come back, and he won't because he's got like the Chechenian girl and everything, and things are coming up Millhouse for Fuchs. We have 2 opportunities this season where Fuchs could just like leave the revenge behind and kind of make it with some good looking younger women, and he chooses.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. It's like Fuchs, like he absolutely has like the perfect, like, all right, this is it. Like, check out. I'm type, like I'm cashing my retirement check.
I love that Fuchs gets the girls. I love it.
But that's the thing. And that the girls are so genuinely into him, too.
That's crazy. I love it. So anyway, that's the thing. I love that Fuchs has an opportunity here, and he calls Barry thinking that things might have blown over. He's waiting. He demands an apology, and he's not getting it because Barry doesn't forgive him. They go into the whole forgiveness theme of the season. But Barry's throwing in his face that, hey, your plan didn't work. Kusa now forgives me. We're on great terms. I got him a gig on Laws of Humanity. That's a really good show. I love that Fuchs watches that show. It's like, so then they have like this childish argument ultimately, where Fuchs being the old mentor, insanely jealous of Kusna, saying, you effed that guy up, man. That's not going to work out for you.
Right.
And he's just trying to write off the fact there are goats in the background and everything. Maybe I'm at a zoo with my new best friend.
Oh my God.
Stephen Root.
Stephen Root, man. We like just last night we did the King of the Hill episode, Pretty Dresses, which is like pretty much Stephen Root on the other end of the spectrum, and it just his rage is just incredible.
Absolutely. So all that's great. My point is, in conjunction, that brings he gets wisdom from the Chechenian girl, and what she tells him essentially gives him the idea of an army. He takes away the wrong lesson here of like, no, don't worry about revenge and vengeance and all that. It's just like, what was this about a vengeance army? How do you get it together? And that gives him like the devilish idea of, it could be though. It was just a story. Could be. Or it's like, I'm going to assemble an army, basically an army of Barry's guilt, which is really awesome.
It just ties together in the coolest visual way possible.
By the way, I love that Laws of Humanity is like the most cliche legal drama ever. It's just really funny to me if you look at like the dialogue on that show. It's like the most like procedural. It's like making fun of the procedural, and it's hysterical. All right, I think that's about it. I think it's about it for 3.
Okay, cool.
All right,
okay, so let's see. Hold on one sec. Sorry. Gotta scroll down. All right, Dragon. We're going to go down to the Polos Hermanos test kitchen and test all the sauces.
All the sauces.
All the sauces.
All the sauces.
All right. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just can't help but think of that one cold open with all the sauces.
I love that cold open, man. You don't need to tell me. I love it. Herr Schuler, like sampling all of them and just dying the
Oh
way
my
he is,
god.
man. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so R.I.P. Herr Schuler. So let's see. So we have the white. So this is a really interesting kind of. Again, we ascent Fugues behind the scenes this whole season from this point onward. He is a. I love. He only has one scene with Barry over the phone. The rest of it's just Fugues doing things behind the scenes. He assembles the Vengeance Army by calling up the victims of Barry, and just kind of proving that forgiveness not so easy to achieve. And basically, like, hey, you think you've achieved forgiveness? Let's put it to the test. Let's see if your other victims can forgive you, like Mr. Kusanov in quotes is. Which, by the way, Mr. Kusanov just punched him in the face and stay the F away from my family. He ran away. So that
Oh
go
god,
well.
right. Which oh god. Yeah, that's another just Henry Winkler. Just he has so many great moments this season.
He does. I love it did
It's
ultimately
hard
work
to
out.
choose just one best one, honestly. I mean, the one on the couch is absolutely great too, but
Yeah. Anyway, so we have a fun link up to the first season of Barry. The first guy we saw Barry kill, his family, his wife and kid, now grown up. His wife, the Phil, the dead guy.
oh,
His wife and kid are approached by Ken Goulet,
oh my god.
who tells them who killed their father and husband, and that kind of wraps around full circle to them. They're literally gunning for Barry with the Glock.
By the way, I love how that guy was essentially like a big red herring to the premise of the show, where it's like, initially, Dragon, when you were watching the first episode, did you not think before he got killed off by the Chechens, like, oh my god, the whole premise is like he's gonna it's the hitman becoming best friends with his mark.
Well, no, Tiki, I'm talking. Phil's like the guy from the very beginning of the show, not Ryan Madison. No.
Shit, I'm thinking Ryan Madison. I'm sorry.
Later on, we're going to get Ryan Madison's father, though, so we are going to check in.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm crossing my wires here. I'm sorry.
So just anyway. We saw, basically, the guy, when we established that Barry was a hitman, like, okay, Barry show comes up and he shoots a guy in the head. Dun, 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 dun,
Right.
That guy. Anyway. So also we introduce. I love this actor when he pops up. He was on WandaVision very recently. So I'm sure a lot of people recognize the face. Fred Melliman, a really good actor. He plays Gene Kusanow's agent, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this guy, and he's very much like he always puts down Gene about how he believes in blackballed in the industry. How no one wants to work because he's toxic and he's mean and everything. And we find out hilariously, Joe
Magnello.
No, not Manganello. That's the other guy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe Montana.
Yeah, Joe Montana. Yes, so Joe Montana. He,
after Pee Wee's Big Holiday, I always get the two confused.
I know my instinct to say Manganello, but clearly
exactly, yeah. Because when I see Joe and then the M.A., I get excited. Like, ooh.
I want to go back to Pee Wee's Big Holiday again, just for the Joe Manganello of it all. God, I love those fantasy sequences so much. Anyway, so the Criminal Minds guy, Joe Montana.
He
learned he does a lot for vets, and he's really, he respects that Gene Kusanow's making a change, and he forgives him again with the forgiveness theme, and he gives him.
Son's also autistic, so he's a big advocate for autism awareness as well.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Anyway, so he read the variety piece, which is news to Gene and everything. So, point being, Gene's on a career comeback, which again puts the morality in question. Like, can you do dark things and be able to turn things around? Like, is there a chance? Because that's the thing. It's kind of like people are imperfect, and it's kind of hard to erase the red from the ledger. And I don't know. It's kind of like it's like a perverse thing where it's like we're not advocating bad things, but we are saying bad things happen, and it's not too late for people to make a change. But when you put that in perspective, what kind of bad things are we saying can be worked past? So it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, the point being, this is like opening a lot of new doors for Gene. Meanwhile, Barry is dealing with a bomb in the most hilarious way.
Oh my god. Oh, gee. I feel like this is hands down the best joke in the season.
I concur. I love everything. My favorite understated thing about the bomb thing. I don't know if you like this as much as I did. I love that. So Hank has a job for Barry, which is not to shoot the guys who want you to blow them up, which is classic how he's worked with the Chechens before. They always want to do things the hard way, in the most technologically efficient way. So
sends a message, Dragon.
You want to send a message, yeah.
It's not about the money.
Sending a message.
All right, anyways. Resist.
Don't ledger explain me, man. Anyway, so we have this thing where basically it's like we're gonna, it's like the whole DHL bullet or whatever it was. So it's kind of like we're going to use the bomb, basically use like a detonate the bomb app, where we have this very shady, dangerous bomb in a box in the middle of the parking lot, which seems suspicious as all get out of like, oh god, they're trying to secretly kill Barry, which we know they're not. They know very well. There's a Wile E. Coyote cartoony way of killing Barry, if you ever thought about it. Like, there's like an edit of this episode where he goes there and over. That's how you do it.
That's the end of the show. The show just goes on with the characters having to grapple with his death.
Yep. But seriously, though, I love just the idea that Barry, being a very cautious hitman, it's like, okay, let's sign you in the most obvious ways, and they take a picture of your face.
Right.
It's like linked to all sorts of apps and clouds and what have you, and it's like Berkman Goes Boom is the username, and suddenly Seymour $signs is the password. It's hilarious. So all that's great. I love like Barry's paying the Girl Scouts to make sure they're out of the way when the bomb goes off. And then, of course, the coup d'etat, my friend. Tell them about the coup d'etat. Tell them why this gag is so hysterical.
Dragon, one word, which we already referenced, pleasantries.
Yeah, so Barry is calling tech support because the stupid bomb won't go off despite the app.
And, oh my god, I mean, I feel like this gag, it really does, like, I really do think that Barry just, like, there's just such a great kind of fine line with the reality that the show exists in, right? Where it's like, it's just over the edge into surrealism. And this is like, I feel like this bit is like, it's like dipping its toe into surrealism, right?
Yeah, again, it's that fine line of realism and surrealism.
Like the Ronnie and Lily of it all.
Exactly, yes. Where, again, that definitely pushes it with a supernatural girl, but still, though, it's like fights take a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
this is literally like, Dragon, this is the most, I swear to God, if every person over the phone was this freaking helpful and willing to assist, like, I would not have anxiety about making phone calls.
Yeah.
It's the most pleasant, like, ridiculously pleasant customer service person ever.
I just love that it wasn't like a machine. I love that it wasn't like the stupid machine, like, solver thing. Troubleshooter thing.
It just makes you wonder who would apply for a job like that.
Yep. Okay, so and of course bomb goes off, like just some very surprising, very giant. It's a giant bomb. I think Barry's window shatters. I don't remember. It's like,
oh, good. Sounds like you got it.
Yeah, it was just delightful. And of course, he saves Cristobal. Thank goodness got out of there at the last second, or else he would have been splattered all over the place. And again, we see the healthiest relationship in the show. It's Hank and Cristobal as they're reunited. Gives kind of Barry some relationship goals there.
Absolutely.
Let's see. So Sally has her big premiere where she learns the rotten. And again, we're satirizing fame in the modern world today, where it's like before her big premiere of her show. But it's not necessarily like a real award. It's just like, hey, you got a premiere where it's all about you. So you're on the stage saying some statements, and it basically treats it like an acceptance speech. And she rolls out the Rotten Tomato numbers, like the Rotten Tomato score's in, and it's great.
Oh my god!
The Rotten Tomato score.
All hail the algorithm.
Exactly. So, honestly, we're saying a lot about how fleeting fame is in Hollywood with Sally's story this season.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is why I couldn't really put up with her being really unlikable.
Yeah. So let's see. So, okay, and ultimately, so Fuse goes to Ryan Madison's father. He basically points him in the direction of Barry, which is going to pay off later. And again, as I said, like now only that Sally thinks she's successful does she break up with Barry.
I mean, it's a fair point that I hadn't considered, but I still think that, given her past trauma, I do think he crossed a bridge with the screaming in her face thing.
No, he did, but still, it's the fact that like she put up with that until it's like someone pointed.
No, you're right. Yeah,
it's like the fact that her cast member is very clearly uncomfortable with this, and I think bringing up after the awards, after the premiere, does that land with her? Like, oh yeah, I am better than him.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, and then we have a great cliffhanger with Julie and Kyle Dragon. These are the mother, or I'm sorry, the wife and the son of the initial victim.
Yes, of Phil. Yeah.
And Dragon, I love where this thing ends off. I love that it's so ambiguous, and we don't get any sort of closure on it, but we'll get there.
Yep. Oh, something we should mention real quick. This is important though. The scene he has with Gene Cousineau, where Gene he gives Gene all the money from the Hank job, and essentially Gene, without saying it, I think in this, I would like to think in this moment he's at least on the path. I like to think he forgives him in this scene because things have worked out. He's kind of taken a little bit of like, man, what Barry has done for me, even though again Janice got killed. I mean, it still has he has really helped my whole identity, which is an actor. He's kind of helped me there on a healing path. And he gave me money to help my son. So it's like I think he's kind of forgiving him in that scene, which then of course leads to the end of the season. But we'll get there.
Mhm.
All right. Anyway, yes, moving on.
All right. Episode 5. Crazy Time Shit Show.
Yeah. So we introduce not a new character, but we introduce a character from Barry's origin. We reintroduce Albert Nguyen.
This was such a smart, like, stroke of genius writing right here.
I felt it was really risky, but it really paid off. You know why?
Why?
Okay, so Albert obviously he was the guy that Barry saved, which then he freaked out and he killed all the people.
Probably the most memorable war flashback of the series.
Well, the only war flashback, but yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
But yes, it is really memorable though. We had a whole episode really highlighting like when Barry went through like beat by beat like what happened, and we reacted and all that. My point being though, it seems like we walked the tightrope, but I think it paid off here. Whereas the fact of like this whole show is built around the plot armor of Barry, so I can forgive it. I think it balanced this out, but it could have been very convenient that, oh yes, that one guy that Barry saved happens to be the FBI agent who is on his trail now. Like
Right.
it could have been really. I was really worried about like, oh, that's the guy. I don't know about that. That seems really. But again, if you think about it in context of all the other breaks that Barry's been given, it's not really that much of a stretch. So it kind of plays. And it makes it all the more personal when he does confront Barry.
Well, and not to mention the Chris of it all, which is just a very logical conclusion to the storyline. So, yeah.
So ultimately, I found it was a gamble. I think it absolutely paid off.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely.
Also, we call it how incompetent all of the LAPD are in this show. In this capacity, like we have like the Sergeant Krause and the detective, who was like Loach's partner, and there's like some incredibly stupid and just like not thinking at all in their investigative technique. Like they spent like half an hour or so like designing a logo for the
They
Ravens.
literally care more about the logo than they do about the case.
Just insane. They're preparing for the true crime doc before they're preparing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Which again, Hollywood.
I know. Well, it's great. So, like, let's see. So that's going on. Albert's making all the right decisions here. Like, well, did we bug the place? Did we, can we do something other than the logo?
It's just like Albert swooping in for literally like 5 minutes is more productive than the entire time they've been on the case.
Which has been about for like a season or two now.
Right.
All right, so Sally's hung up on the home screen, which again, she has fame, and then like, I'm on the home screen only for about an hour.
Okay, this is, I feel like, probably the best, like, biting Hollywood satire of the season, I feel, is the whole, like, instantly fleeting success of streaming services, and how streaming services are, in a lot of ways, a very futile way to get your stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think all the Hollywood stuff has been on point. Like them making fun of the legal shows and like the whole like swim instructors and the marketing of it all, and that's great. Okay, let's see. So Barry's rooming with his old actor buddies from the acting class. We got a few more of them in there.
Nice to see them.
Yeah, and he was rooming with them, I think, last season, so it tracks. Let's see. So Gene's making an effort to evolve here and make amends. Like that guy he threw threw hot tea or hot coffee in the guy's face. He apologized for it. So that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And then of course he goes to the dinner party, and he tries to make amends with Annie.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to do that more later. But again, the point is like forgiveness is not an easy like say I'm sorry and you're going to be forgiven. You got to do stuff, and that's going to come later. Okay, so Fugues. Think about the dichotomy here, Tiki. Some people are looking at people from their past to make amends, and other people are going into the past to find enemies for Barry.
Oh, totally.
So Fugues here, he goes to. This is I think so hilarious when I realized what they were doing here. Like, oh God, Taylor had a sister named Tracy.
Dragon, as soon as I saw like the when they had the whole hot tub bit in the previously on Barry section, I was like, how the hell are they going to call back to that?
Yeah, I was getting excited when I saw that hill. I was like, "Oh god!" But just the fact that it's like the hot tub and the 17 grand.
Oh god.
That's what gets them. Not the whole, "Oh, I killed my brother," or it made him look bad. Like, nope, hot tub. Once in a hot tub, we want a hot tub.
Oh man, I again. I feel like it very much perfectly blends into like. I honestly feel like in real life, it's a pretty insane scenario, right? But it's just realistic enough to work in like the Barry kind of like dipping its toe into surrealism element.
People do kill each other for stupider things, though. That's the sad thing about life.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just saying it really kind of like points a like puts a microscope up to like the insanity of society.
It would be funnier though if people killed each other over hot tubs, though. I got to admit that. It might be a little funnier.
I mean, Dragon, I don't endorse people killing people in any sense, but yeah, that would. I don't know if hot tubs was like a, I don't know. Anyway,
I'm saying of all like the stupid fleeting things, I mean, of all the reasons people have to kill each other, it's like, hey, you cheated me out of a hot tub. Anyway, because how often does that happen?
Right.
Anyway, so let's see. So we have some relationship advice from Hank and Cristobal, whatever they call it. We like seeing you, Barry, but you really should just pop on by when you feel like it. I love Bill Hader, how he acts like this about. Oh yeah, man, I'm sorry about that. Hey, shot the monster and killed all the Bolivians.
Yeah, that's my bad.
That's so great. Let's see. So the FBI and the the FBI. Oh, we have the FBI and the Bolivian firefight, which is amazing. I love how he's shooting. And Bill Hader. I forget if Bill Hader or Alec Berg directed this. Whoever did an excellent job in how they framed the.
It was Alec Berg.
Alec Berg did a great job with this. How he was like framing it from the smartphone with J.B. Blanc just kind of holding it, and you saw like all the action from the other Bolivians, or from the other Chechens, watching on the other end and kind of coining the name of the episode. Just really fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy driving through the tent of heroin, which is really funny. Yeah. And let's see. So then, Sally kind of wakes up to Barry here. Like Barry's like offering to scare the network executive that kind of screwed.
I love this scene.
Yeah.
I really loved how at first you're almost like you almost kind of buy that it would work on her, and ultimately in a twisted way she comes around to it. But I love I just love how horrified she is.
Yeah. It was great. All right, let's see. So I think that about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that brings us to episode 6.
Right, episode 6. I feel like.
Wait. I'm sorry. The big thing we have to talk about. We had the after the breakup, we had those the poor family. We had Phil's family. And the mother accidentally shoots the son.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah. And I think the fact that we get no closure on that whatsoever is just, like, perfect.
And again, it's kind of a sobering PSA of, like, folks, 1, don't go after revenge like that. And 2, don't buy guns to do it. It's not nice.
By the way, I love we didn't mention this, but I love the gag at the end of the last episode that was basically just like a giant call out to how easy it is to get firearms.
Yeah, just the fact that we're having like this genuine discussion of like, should we do this? And then they have like the whole like, we'll take the Glock after all this contemplation, which you probably should have. And then it's like, cool, yeah. It's like, going for the Glock. And then we just see again these people are completely out of their depths here. And again, it's again the fact that we have a comedy, but by the same token, we have like sobering moments like that. Oh God, this poor mother has just shot her son by accident.
Right.
Yeah, very haunting. And the fact that Barry's never going to know exactly what happened is the fact that it's like kind of hanging over his head. It was a very like really well executed kind of tension that we're building through the season, which pays off in the next episode.
Mm-hmm. Right. 710 North.
Huh. 710 North. That's what it's. I thought it was like I thought it was like a license plate or something.
It's a freeway.
Okay, that makes more sense then.
It's the freeway that the chase takes place on.
No, that's cool. I'm sorry. I just realized. Well, I'm just reveling in that for a second. That's a really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I think Bill Hader directed this one, didn't he?
He did. He did.
Yeah, he did a really great job with the action. Seriously, how well staged was this action with the whole highway?
Oh, it's great, and I feel like this episode is very much kind of like the mirror image of Ronnie Lilly. I think.
Yeah. It's very Ronnie Lilly yes here. So we have the Taylor's sister and her gang. They're chasing down on motorcycles as Barry essentially has been invited to dinner with Sharon, Chris's wife, and Barry, he's bringing dessert, and on his way to bring dessert, he's he was being shot at and on like this high speed, like a car chase that involves to a bike chase, and it's insane and it's awesome. And Bill Hader can get really ambitious with the camera stuff. Like the beginning of the season had a oneer when Sally was walking through all the sets, and then we had the phone thing with like Alec Berg when he was doing. Now we have we're going on this insane highway chase with gunmen. My favorite bit of this whole action set piece, by the way, I love the ending of it. I love where we're kind of like from a distance, we see all the action unfold before our eyes. We're like the guy's going inside shooting the gun, and well, I'm sorry, he's on the roof shooting the gun, and they have the guy who works at the used car lot is running inside getting a gun and plumping him off the roof.
Right.
Like plucking him off the roof of the shop.
Almost kind of like a Rune Goldberg machine of action.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, I love that. It was just really well staged, and again, actually, you don't see every day. Like I'm just in love with that framing at the end, like how he just took him out with the guy with the shotgun, and just Barry's just walking off to go back to his dinner date.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that dinner date ends in a poisoning.
Oh man. Oh god.
Heck of a way to end your episode. Like your lead
I mean,
character.
once again, Dragon is just like this season is just constantly just like it's dangling Barry at death's door more than Stranger Things does for Steve. It's just like, hey, he's gonna die. He's gonna die.
Fascinating thing for me with this season, that's just in the DNA of the show, is like when the big looming axe over the show is like, when will Barry's plot armor give out? And like, oh god, he's been poisoned, and you keep believing. It's like the trick that keeps on working on you. It's like the got your nose that keeps on giving.
That's a good way to put it.
It's just the fact that he's probably going to be all right until the end of the season, but it's just the fact that he's like, hey, he's been poisoned, and justifiably so, and this could be the end of it for him. You don't know.
Uh-huh.
You don't see it coming. It's the surprise factor of it all. So yeah, so Fugues. Also, at the top of the episode, we kind of end with someone almost dying. We end with the episode with someone almost dying. Fugues gets shot, and it looks like it might have been curtains for him.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I really was worried.
Honestly, when that moment happened, Dragon, I was sold that they just totally just killed off Fugues. I was like, okay, he set up the Revenge Army, and now he's got no role to play.
Yeah, that's what for a moment I legitimately thought that, and then we lucked out, and we nursed him back to health, and he was
God,
in love, and in the variety arc, like, nah, I'm gonna go with my Revenge Army. All right, so that brings us to one thing we had to talk about before we move on. That was a really funny gag. The artisanal L.A. bakery guy.
Oh my god, that dude's iconic.
Very funny. Just the idea that Hank is like getting the life advice from this guy, and it's just and the guy wants.
This dude is like everyone who's been to LA and been in a coffee, like everyone has encountered some sort of server like this, Dragon. It is very true to form as someone who's visited LA multiple times.
Yeah.
Like people are just like so in their head about how philosophical they are over there. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, Candy Asses, episode 7.
Yes. Okay, so this is again, our penultimate and our finale are really good, I felt. So this episode 7 is the really big introspective episode for Barry, where we have this great
I call this episode the art house episode.
Okay. So I love how we use this device of Barry hallucinating after ideas like she's never poisoned anyone before, so she probably didn't use enough or something, and that's going to lead Barry into kind of this weird almost like Twilight sleep of a poisoning event where he's basically kind of walking through and he's hallucinating, almost like the light at the end of the tunnel is like the brain synapses are maybe shutting down or something. I don't know how it works, but maybe there's it's like hypoxia or something. I don't know. The point being, he's hallucinating. And he's wandering around, and I love how this is probably the best directed thing the whole season, where he's walking down the street and suddenly it turns into like a shoreline. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It starts with just like the water and everything. He's just walking to this
Yeah,
beach.
yeah.
They brought
Great
back,
design there.
and just the fact they brought back every actor Barry's killed in the.
I know. Yeah.
Which I'll tell you one nitpick.
Damned.
What?
I said, COVID be damned. We're gonna get all these actors together.
They're dead anyway. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'll tell you though. I'll tell you what the biggest nitpick I have there in this season. It's kind of like a Joker blogs thing, actually. It's the fact that we got Goran back, but he didn't shave. It's like, why did he shave that goatee?
Right.
Like, come on, we got him back. What does he really need a goatee for?
Yeah.
He's not Cavill. Come on. Anyway, so yeah, this is really great. It's the fact that Barry's guilt has been epitomized really well, and I think this is what Barry fears awaits him, where he's just basically gonna. I love how it's completely silent. By the way, they're not saying anything; it's all conveyed with reactions. Like Chris is there, and it's like, "Hey, buddy," and it's like, "What are you looking at me so friendly for? You murdered me."
Right.
And they're all kind of giving him these looks, and the fact that's ultimately what awaits him is that you're just going to be there with all your decisions that you made, and good or bad. It's just what's more to be said. You're just going to be there, just kind of stewing on this is your life and
I
accumulation.
really think it's a very haunting representation of death. I think.
Yeah, it is very art house. It's like what's that art house movie where it's the indie or art house movie where it's like the guy playing chess against the Grim Reaper.
Oh, that's a classic. That's the Seventh Seal.
Okay, it's the Seventh Seal. That's what they call
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Seventh Seal is very Seventh Seal-esque.
All
right, let's see. So, okay, haunted, beautiful. Oh yeah. So then, ultimately, what's really fascinating about this whole device in total to me is the fact that we reveal what's really going on, despite the hallucination, which is Barry. He's kind of wandered before a dumpster. And Mr. Madison, Ryan's father, the guy who started it all, really, the guy who, again, we remember this guy. They loved this guy's performance in episode 2 so much they brought him back because he had that impassioned speech when they were all at the acting bar, tributing Ryan with their monologue.
Right.
And he had a speech, and Barry felt guilt for the first time, which he's never felt before. And the fact that Barry's fate is in the hands of this man, think about it. He took him to a hospital, but contemplated whether or not to bring him in there, and he had a gun. And he just couldn't bring himself to kill Barry, and ultimately killed himself. And that was just really to me that was a really appreciated and fascinating writing choice. That this man was deep down fundamentally a good man, but he just couldn't go on with the guilt that he was a good man. I love that choice.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim Moss.
Oh, this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I believe he was on. I forget if he was on Bob Hart's Abishola or not. He looks so familiar. I'm pretty sure it was the same guy. The point being, a TV actor. Yeah, he's. I think he's like correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he like an ex-CIA interrogator? Wasn't that it?
That sounds right. I mean, it makes sense given what happens next episode.
I know he's an interrogator. I don't know if he's like counterintelligence or what. My assumption is that's CIA. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
The point being, this guy. He's. I love he's in the car with Fuchs, and Fuchs is like he's really dwelling on I convinced my captor to kill himself, and so like what was going on in his home life, maybe they're contributing factors. Anyway, point being, he drives to the police station, which brings us to the real big takeaway of the episode, which is Fuchs tells Albert what Barry's really been up to in the whole hitman thing, which upsets Albert, and that sets in. And again, it's like very much Fuchs being the devil that he is, pulls a Heath Ledger Joker with Harvey Dent essentially in this scene.
Oh, totally. Yeah, he's just like, he's completely in captivity, but yet he's he owns the room.
Yeah, like he's not scared at all, and he's kind of like lays out like, here's what's you want Barry? Well, there you go. There's everything you want. You're a little friend there. He's not as noble as you think he is. It's this Joker playing the angles pretty much, and literally a guy with a scar on his face going after to do the deed. So, the other huge thing we need to talk about, the other important scene of the season, Sally gets canceled.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry. My wires got crossed there with the show canceled and her action. Yeah. No, and honestly, Dragon, this kind of stuff is really, I feel, kind of like the driving force of her storyline. Is like just going into like these super unlikable directions, and like I said, I feel like there is an art to writing a character that you actively are meant to dislike, and I feel like this does hit a good note. Because this is like her meltdown is like the ultimate in just Hollywood entitlement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. That's the thing. I love that, with Sally, it's so we have Natalie in the elevator again. Darcy Carden from The Good Place, who's always been like a fun addition to the show, and the fact she's been kind of a little helper this whole season. And I love how we do that reveal in the elevator. By the way, so pan over and there she is,
Mm-hmm.
and just Sally is getting in her face and just it's snapping. And again, like Sally in L.A., nothing is private. Where it's like Natalie again, it's kind of a devious move on Natalie's part, but again, it's earned because she shouldn't have been yelled at all like this. But it's the fact there's like a
Okay, I mean, to be fair, I feel like in Hollywood, especially like anywhere around LA, dude, if you're gonna just do not blow up on anyone as a rule of thumb. Just assume that you're gonna be filmed.
Yeah, so it basically just calls her the effing c word, and it's like basically the worst thing she could possibly say, especially when she's trying to do like a
I mean, she
progressive
doesn't
show.
call her a dragon; she screams it in her face, and I love how that echoes Barry screaming in her face.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying to you. So the abuse victim cycle continues, where she basically she felt powerless in that moment, and she's making other people who she felt are smaller than her feel powerless. It's like the whole,
totally.
like the kid who's abuses the other, that whole thing. So yeah, and there's all that going on there, and the fact that again she kind of gets canceled, and then she gets called out. Like her agent tells her like, hey, listen, don't say anything, don't make a response. I'm going to help you through this. And what does Sally do? She makes like an idiot. She does a really self-absorbed, like half-hearted apology that doesn't really apologize. I love how we filmed that scene in darkness, by the way, where she kind of backs into the shadows once she's completely alone. And it's just the fact that she's again, she really blew everything. She kind of blew everything on her own here. But I think the difference is she brought all this on herself to a large degree, like Barry did. The difference, though, Sally feels no remorse.
Mm-hmm.
She
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
get it.
for sure.
At the end of the scene, she thinks my agent's out to get me now. She just doesn't get it at all. Like she's no perspective at all. Where Barry, when we do this with him in the next episode, he does take the lesson away. He still makes the same mistake, but he takes the lesson away.
Mm-hmm.
I found really interesting. Oh, yeah, Hank and the blowgun, really funny.
Oh my god. Oh yes, that's what I thought it was.
I didn't want to be rude, just It gets that blowgun on the neck. Like I love Anthony Carrigan's like wide-eyed expressions, like, "Oh, what's he doing now?" And just like, really funny.
Oh god.
Okay,
right.
so episode 8, finale. My favorite title, by the way.
Starting now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this episode is basically a 30-minute panic attack, and I fucking love it.
So we start things off. Sally kills a man.
Yeah, that's how you start the finale.
Yeah.
And again, I love how it echoes, like by this, at this point, like, Barry and her have basically switched moral places, where Barry is kind of like, after having that near-death experience and visiting the death beach, he is genuinely kind of like, like feeling this empathy, and whereas Sally, man, she's just like, she is on a downward spiral of like quickly becoming sociopathic in her own right. So I love how it's like kind of like a meeting in the middle at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And she's again, it's a little, she's like looking. Hey, remember that like scaring, like the psychological mind games and everything. I want to do that to Natalie. Let's do that. Like Barry again, as Barry's trying to be the moral high ground here, again gets attacked by somebody. So like the two sides of himself are crossing over. Like,
and I love how this is directed, because it's straight up like you see the dude walk into the shot before anyone acknowledges him, and he's just there.
Yeah. And it's just too late, and Barry gets knocked out. And you're going, "Wake up, Barry! Wake up! She's gonna get killed!" And for a moment, I thought she was gonna fake dying, but no, she's getting killed, and like, bam, like impales him with a knife. Really,
I mean, she was a goner.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, I did. Yeah, for a bit, I kept thinking, like, okay, she's gonna be near death, and then Barry's gonna wake up and kill the guy, and she's gonna have to deal with the fact she's seen him kill a man. But they didn't go that way at all.
Like that was kind of like the Rian Johnson, like, haha, that's what I wanted you to think.
Exactly. So, one, she stabs him with a knife in like the most horrific way possible. Like she stabs him in like the back of the head, like through the eye, but it's like
yes.
Through the eye, it's like through like the back of the head and poking out the eye. And he's like looking at it in a cell phone, like, what did you do to me? And then she goes into like the soundproof booth and basically beats him to death with a baseball bat. And Barry's watching this helplessly from the outside, like watching a portrait of violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I love like him to like grabbing Sally by the head and telling her, "Hey, listen, I did this. I did this." And basically she leaves town, and for the better, honestly. I think she needs a break from Hollywood to kind of compress all this.
Sure.
So Barry is burying the body, which then leads to his big scene with Albert, which is again I think probably Bill Hader's best moment of acting.
Absolutely, no question. Him just the scream, Dragon, the guttural, pathetic scream.
Yeah, the primal cathartic scream.
Mhm.
Like he's been keeping this in the whole season, except
Yeah,
for that one scene with Sally. But he's been keeping it in for the most part the whole season.
and I really feel like just Albert just flat out seeing him just have a nervous breakdown is the one thing that saved his life in this moment, I
Yeah, I
think.
think he just saw like a human. He saw like the human guy who, again, remember the whole Albert's sympathy is the fact that Barry snapped on his behalf in the first place, and I
Right,
think Albert.
exactly.
I think Albert does bear some responsibility in his own mind for like he ruined his own life to save mine, and try to avenge me. Which he felt I think there's a great deal of sympathy in the fact that he had the life that he did. The whole reason he doesn't kill Barry ultimately is the fact that he has a 7-year-old. I think it's a 7-year-old. He has a daughter. I think she's 7.
Uh-huh.
And he's grateful for that, and he basically he lets him live with the he just cautions him, you got to bury all this. You're a good guy, because the fact that like, a good guy is going to beg for his life versus ultimately like, yeah, just do it. The whole thing. It's just Barry did not take it like he didn't want to be bad. Barry has been looking for redemption, but he's just been blowing up in his face, literally
Sure.
with a bomb in some cases, every which way. And this the fact that we coined the thing that kills me about the episode title and everything is the fact that he says starting now, which I think is the best line in Barry, because it's the lie that we tell ourselves, that brilliant joke, and like the human quality of like we all say, okay, we're not going to do this, we're not going to fall into the old traps of behavior starting now. And it was all over the first season, and we brought it back this season. Again, does lend credence to your theory, Tig. This could have been the last season.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. So Jim Moss, he interrogates Gene in a really very realistic way. You do this.
Why are you protecting Barry Berkman?
Do you love Barry Berkman?
Oh my
Did you
god, I love
love
it.
my daughter?
It's just like full on psychological assault.
Yeah, it's just very authentically directed, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how Henry Winkler's playing it too. Like Gene, yes, I do love. I love Janice. Yes.
Yeah. Oh god.
I love it. So let's talk about that Hank scene, man. Hank, our boy.
Okay, what the fuck is that? This is like, I feel like this is straight up probably the most supernatural scene in all of Barry so far.
Very much like a scene from Stranger Things.
Yes, I'm just like, Dragon, I feel like the fact that they don't even remotely show what it is like a stroke of genius, because it leaves so much to the imagination.
I have a theory what it is.
What do you think it is? I can't even guess, honestly.
Here's the thing. So initially, and I don't think it was this. I thought it was a bear, but then I realized something. If it was a bear, it would have made like that bear sound, like the. It would have made like almost like the Chewbacca sound that they would loop into, like the whole bear howl thing that wasn't there. I think it was a lion. I think they brought a freaking lion in there.
Oh, okay, I could see that.
Because if you hear like the roars and everything,
My initial guess was tiger, honestly.
I mean, you might be right. It could be it. I don't know. I don't know if tigers really do like the roar thing. Because I don't know. It sounds. I'm thinking lion, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure tigers roar.
I mean, by that logic, it could be a lion, a tiger, but a bear, not so much.
Mm. Oh my!
I know. That's what I was going for. Yeah. Anyway, but Hank though is the fact like Hank is like you're rude. Please don't kill NoHo, Hank. I have so little to live for.
And then just his reunion with Cristobal. It's like you are genuinely just like it is like such. It's like the romance of the century, Dragon.
By the way,
just star-crossed lovers.
Cristobal's wife, a force to be reckoned with, and what she did to her husband.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
She reached back into the 50s with what she did to him. Because in the 50s, they did the conditioning thing where they would basically electroshock or lobotomize somebody into not being gay. And it's essentially what she's doing here in a very crude way. And just the fact she literally fried his brain. It looks like, I don't know if Cristobal's coming back, man, but he is. He was damaged goods. And thank goodness Hank killed him. You killed the wife and the piano player guy. So, even though he's probably just doing his job, though, so maybe that guy, a little less. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so then our ending was brilliant.
So good old sneaky Ryan Johnson, Dragon. I don't know why Ryan Johnson is suddenly like hypothetically involved with this season,
I was
but
imagining Ron Johnson like dressed like the Hamburglar or something.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm visualizing.
Halloween photo somewhere like Ryan Johnson.
He's just like, hee. You think the season's gonna end with Gene killing Jim Moss? Hee.
Nope. So Gene basically has called Barry under the pretense of Jim Moss is on to us. What are we gonna do? Basically asking Barry to essentially trying to lead Barry to kill Jim Moss. And Barry, I get a sense he does not want to do this, but to protect Gene Cousineau, the only status quo that he has, the only like friend, the only mentor he has, he cares about, he'll reluctantly do it. And that's again, it's the fact that I think Barry was going to commit to starting now, but again, it's just the cycle continues. But
right, exactly.
But for the first time, he actually suffers consequence for it.
Mm-hmm.
So Barry, he goes to kill Jim Moss, and he is utterly caught. It's a sting operation. And what's fascinating about this is that earlier in the season 2, not season episode. Sorry, this season episode 2. We had this bit where Barry kind of says after Cousineau tries to act his way out of the hostage situation, he says, "Mr. Cousineau, you're not a good actor." And Cousineau outacts Barry. He basically
absolutely
performance of a lifetime, and just so utterly brilliant in full circle that Gene, the fact the sting operation has Barry, he's being cuffed away, and he's looking at Gene. I think I like to think Gene is truly regretful because I think he, the progress that was being made, which by the way, kind of glazed over this, the acting workshop that Gene Cousineau now has like the acting workshop, which is great. So things are on the career high for him. Like, hey, I'm walking here. He had that great like opening commercial for his own version of Inside the Actor's Studio, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Gene's on a career high, and I like to think he is truly like grateful to Barry. I don't think he wanted to do this, but Jim Moss kind of bullied him into it.
Right.
Did you get that read? Do you think there's like
I did. Yeah, I got that same read.
Yeah. So yeah, and just he's being led away, and I like the silence that we have too, where it's like Jim like waving everybody off, and he's like really content and happy, like, yeah, I got justice for my daughter. And it's kind of and I like that we ended on that note because again, it's like it's reminding the audience that yeah, Barry did some terrible things, and this was inevitable. It's like the reverse of Breaking Bad to a degree, where our characters are either the live free or die type, in which there's no when have we ever seen a character end up in prison?
I mean, honestly, there's definitely been a couple times, but
I mean, that's what I'm saying. But like in recent example, like how long has it been though? Like, can you think?
Oh, geez. I'm honestly, I'm trying to fish for a recent example. I know.
I could be entirely wrong. Maybe it has happened recently. I'm just.
No, I'm sorry. This is going to drive me crazy because it's kind of like on the tip of my brain, and I can't. Ugh.
I mean, bare minimum.
I mean, Rick and Morty, technically.
Exactly what I'm looking for here.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure there's examples, but you're right. It's like for a show as high caliber as this, and I feel like you could do it on like on a lesser like a CW show or a soap opera or something like that. It could be just a very cheap cliffhanger for a character. Like, oh my god, that character is going to prison. That's going to be his arc next season. Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's not technically prison, but that's exactly what I was thinking of.
That's the thing. We don't know if there's going to be a Deus Ex Machina to get Barry out. I don't think there's going to be. At least not an easy one. I think he's going to actually go to prison.
I honestly think it's going to come down to Barry and Fuchs in a prison brawl.
That would be very.
That's my speculation.
They do.
That's the end game. Barry versus Fuchs in prison.
I mean, Fuchs is in custody, so it does stand to reason. Mm-hmm. That's a good theory. Now, here's the thing. I mean, what I was laying out there is I can remember seasons ending with characters going to prison, but not like an ending in which characters have ended up in prison as the end of the show.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's the thing. Still, that kind of intrigues me. That we haven't seen that. At the very least, even if we have seen it, it's very minimally that we do that. I know this isn't the end of the Barry, obviously, but still, it just kind of like makes you think in terms of finales and stuff like that. The fact, what are we saying about these morally ambiguous characters, like either live free or die, or
Well, I mean, it's just the fact that like not only it's so unambiguous as far as there is no way out for him in this situation at all. He is fucked with a capital F,
Yeah, like there's no Deus Ex Machina, and the fact that we kept
Uh-huh.
building it up for 3 seasons, I love that we hit that note here, like potentially in the halfway point for all we know. It's
I
great.
hope it's not just the halfway point, but
Well, by halfway point, it's 5 seasons, Diggy.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Technically, it would be that. Yeah, it's we're over the hump of the. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. This could be our Bates Motel season 3, in which
right,
we
right,
have
right, right, right.
the big becoming moment, and then we kind of go from there, and it makes you wonder what the heck are they going to do for season 5.
Mhm.
I'm still
All right.
wondering what the heck they're going to do for season 4, and that brings us to the end.
Okay. I feel like we pretty much wrapped up
Yeah,
our thoughts. Dragon, any final words or?
just I love this show. I applaud Bill Hader. Again, this man has a very bright directing future in front of him if he ever wants to like do a film or anything. But
Oh, I absolutely think he'd be Dragon. I want to see him direct an A24 film.
I mean, that would be an A24 film I'd be interested in.
Give me an A24 Bill Hader movie. I don't whatever he wants to do. Just have it under the A24 banner.
I gotta be honest, I would love to see Bill Hader become the next Vince Gilligan, the one who acts too. That's what I'd love to see. I can see Bill
Right.
Hader presenting a lot of really good shows. Because there's a space. This season was very impressive. Good stuff continues for Barry, and I can't wait for more.
All right. See you later, folks. Have a good night. Oh, that's what I thought it was, but I want to be polite.
Luminata?